Okay, so let's. I guess we should start this. Right. Uh,
You do the intro, Babiker. You're the host. I never want to host another podcast again in my life.
You did fine for the Fate's Day Night one.
I have my own comments on that episode, but whatever. Let's get moving here. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Hello and welcome all to another episode of. Okay, we're not doing full reviews. Where are we?
FuwaFm.
No, that's my job.
Okay, we're doing yes. We're doing FuwaFm, and today we have we're gonna change a little bit. Our
Introduce the topic first.
Topics, yep. Rather than yet another review, we're going to talk about something extremely controversial within the visual novel community, and yep, you've guessed it, it's H scenes.
Woo!
Scenes.
Hooray!
I'm not sure if anyone would actually guess that unless they simply read the title.
Yeah, I think everybody clicking on this actually, read the title.
That's probably why they're watching it.
Yeah. Alright,
Probably.
and today we have three wonderful guests. We have Ash from... you're not from the Netherlands. Ash from Sweden. Say hi, Ash.
Thank you. Yeah, it's JP who's from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
JB, who's not with us today. Alright. And we have Bell, the Belmaker from Canada.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, been a while. And we have a new guest, Ryechu from Full Reviews, who does a lot of stuff. I think you should introduce yourself, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Ryechu. I have my fingers on the pulse of the visual novel community pretty well. I write for Fuwa Reviews. I do work for Manga Gamer. I do work for Loopysoft, and I've done work for Sekai Project in the past.
Yep.
Jealous.
He works for all the big companies, so no bashing.
I do all the things.
Right. Yeah. Okay,
Very
so...
jealous indeed.
So, on to the topic, H scenes. The most controversial
H
topic
scenes.
on Fuwa Novel.
Somehow I found that quote really funny.
Alright, so... We're just gonna go on a very basic question. What do you think, what's your opinion on H scenes? Your just very personal preference on H scenes, let's say. Okay, go ahead, Ash.
When you say personal preference, do you mean it in the sense of...
What happens when you meet an H scene in-game?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Do you press the control button? Or do you actually read it?
90% of the time, I just kind of hold down the control key, feel awkward for a few moments, and then think, la 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 la, yeah, that's just it. Now we're done. Now we're just gonna keep going with the story. Unless I happen to be reading a visual novel on the train, in which case, flip over the cover on my laptop immediately, and then...
That's the best place to read visual novels, guys. In public. Can't confirm.
Well, when you have a freaking train ride that takes 1.5 hours, and you have to do that train ride every now and then you want something to do on said train.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with reading porn games in public. All right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, except that it would make me feel way too uncomfortable for me to be able to do it.
Yeah.
If you're confident,
Right.
no one will ever notice.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Bell. I don't think I'm actually going to call you Bell. Okay, Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
Sure, whatever, that works. So it depends on the VN. If the story actually has done a decent job leading up to it, I'll read through it. It depends if they actually built a story around that and incorporated it well, or if they've done something like, I guess an example that stands out for me is Air, where they clearly didn't plan to have 8 scenes, but thought,
Wait,
it's a
Air,
VN, it must have
Air
8 scenes. So then they just tacked some in, and it felt really weird and off from the rest of the story.
The very
And
first
those
one you
ones
can
I
possibly
skip
get was ridiculous. Whether or not you decide to dream about, I can't think of her name right now, but it's like randomly the mother is now touching her. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Wait,
well, this
what?
star.
Wait. I thought Air was a key visual novel.
It is a key visual
Yeah, it is,
novel.
but
Then how in the world can it
Babiker-
have H scenes?
Key is no stranger to age scenes. It's like Canon, the original Canon has age scenes. Air has
Oh.
age scenes. Little Busters
Oh.
has a version of it that has age scenes.
Yeah.
A lot of key visual novels has age scenes.
Tomoyo After had them.
Tomoyo After had them. Could Wafter have age scenes?
I
I'm
don't
assuming it does.
think so.
Okay. I don't know.
Right. So, well, that's the first time I actually hear about it, and I thought I knew Key. Oh well. Okay.
Could
yeah,
Wafter
so that's
does,
about-
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, expected. All right. So that's Key. That's Ken. All right. What about you, Ryechu?
For me, it depends on the game. I play a lot of Nukage, so obviously, if I'm playing a Nukage, I know exactly what I want. In terms of just
Yeah, I think you better
regular
just go ahead.
games,
You should go ahead and say what a Nukigi is.
Sure.
Because not everyone knows.
Nukage is
It's porn
basically a porn game with whose intent is for you to fap or schlick or whatever it is that you do.
Such blunt.
Basically, in a Nukage, if you don't have a sex scene within the first about 5 minutes, you're not a good Nukage. That's pretty common.
Oh my god.
So it's basically games like Boob Wars, Flat Chest versus
Oh my
Big
God.
Chest.
Or the game that I actually beta tested for Manga Gamer that came out yesterday, Warrior Princess Asuka Final Chapter, where literally the opening fucking scene is tentacle rape.
Oh my god.
So, I mean, and there's
Another
absolutely
work of
nothing
art
wrong
from
with
Japan.
that. Yes, Japan.
Well,
Just another
And
work of art.
bonus
from Japan.
game, it's the final of a trilogy. But no, in general though,
love it.
if it's
Love
just
it.
a regular standard visual novel, I agree with Kenneth pretty well on this. It's more of was the setup to the H scene good? Like in, just for sake of example, Chodengeki Striker. There's the 18 plus version where what's the word I'm looking for? If you don't realize the scene is coming, it's gonna hit you and you're just gonna look at it like, what the fuck? And then there's also
I recognize that one.
yeah, and then there's also I finished the game, here, have 2 H scenes tacked on the end, because why the hell not?
The reward.
I hate
it's
And
the reward.
those are
The
frustrating.
reward, man.
But no,
Yeah.
just for the sake of example, I just put out a review for Eden plus Mosaic, so the 18 plus version of Eden, and in order to get the plus Mosaic material, which is essentially 4 tacked on H scenes, you have to play through the kinetic novel, and the scenes make 0 sense in the canon of the story. It makes 0 sense, and it literally feels like a fan disc, but it's not a fan disc.
Wow. Does that take place during the main story or after the main story then?
No, you
Or-
actually choose the H scenes as an option from the main menu.
That's
So
really
what?
cool.
So it just
They're
So it's
independent.
just a menu choice where you just go in and here have an H with this character and then move on. Well then, that's pointless.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the scenes were alright, but if I wanted to play a fan disc, I would have played a fan disc, not extra material on the main game.
Yeah, really.
I mean, it's not. I mean, quote unquote, it doesn't hurt anyone. I guess.
It's definitely good fat material, but the presentation, I don't appreciate that presentation. Basically, if it doesn't fit in the story and you want to throw it in, make it as an extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the way that worked in Fate Hollow Ataraxia, where there's just one H scene that you have to go through, which is extremely horrible. But other than that, there's this, like, the other H scene in the game, you quite literally, like you have to go outside in the menu and click it if you really want to,
Is it hidden on the main menu, or?
No, it's not hidden. No, it appears like after a while, after some particular event, it shows up on the menu.
I know a couple
But it's
games
very
like that.
clear.
That would actually be kind of a problem for me because I am an incurably curious person. Whenever somebody shows me something, I have to see what it is. So in that case, I would be forced to click that button, even though I know that I probably shouldn't.
Well,
There's
then it's
nothing
your
wrong
fault.
with that.
Nah, I know, but
Yeah.
still.
Humanity will still pick the apple. Anyways, well, all right. So that's from a very personal basis. All right, let's go in the big questions, the ones that actually make threads blocked here. All right. There are in the history of Fuwa novel, like the most one of the most biggest problematic threads were ones that were related to age scenes. Like there's one big one from Tay, which is like 15 pages. Age scenes,
Oh,
are
yeah,
they
that
really
one.
necessary? Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically it's trying to tackle the whole age scene thing from a very. Wait a second, I didn't actually say what's my opinion on age scenes. All right, so wait a second. I'll just go ahead and quickly say that. Yes, age scenes to me are the devil's spawn, and they need to end and go away and burn in hell.
Well, that's some pretty
Yes.
strong opinions there.
Yep. All right, so that's pretty much my opinion in a very small. Like
You've
I've
never
never
seen-
had a good.
Question, Babiker. Question.
Yes.
You've never seen a single age scene in any visual novel of all the ones you've ever played that you would think this actually is okay. You've never seen any single one.
Yeah, no. The thing is,
Not a single one.
After like the first few, I just click the control button. Like I usually don't give them a chance.
This man needs
not
more
even the ones
Nuka
in-
in his life.
No, thank you. You can keep those to yourself. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Like, not even the ones in, say, Katawa Shoujo.
I dare say, especially the ones in Katawa Shoujo.
He's
Really?
that one guy who that's why they
Really?
made the skip adult scenes option for.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I see.
I
I'm
guess
sorry.
so.
but like there were like some age scenes were better than others, but I'm afraid I'd say that Katawa Shoujo was on like the very bottom. Although
Well,
there's
then.
only one that I like saw, which I mean that I actually gave a chance, which was the one with the girl without a leg. What was she called again?
Emmy.
Yeah, that girl.
Emmy.
Yeah, like I just.
As
like,
long as
that
it
one
wasn't
was
the
just
one
for a
where
few
they
seconds,
went into the
I just-
frickin' garden shed. Oh my god.
Oh my god!
Let's go into a garden shed and have anal sex.
Oh,
I remember hearing an interview from the developers who said that they intentionally made that scene as awkward as possible because
They
figured
succeeded.
that would be the realistic. They figured that would be the realistic scenario. If two teenagers were to try and experiment, then it would be extremely awkward for them, which is why they made it in that way.
yeah.
Although the aftermath of that, spoiler alert, this is a spoiler alert. Okay, anyway. It's just like that, at the aftermath of it. Oh yeah, that lube in there and everything. Well, that was conveniently placed there because my track coach is gay and decided to have anal sex in there too.
Oh my god.
It's like, well then, alright then. End of spoiler alert. End of spoiler alert.
That wasn't
Yeah.
so much of a spoiler, honestly.
Well,
Yeah.
But still, yeah.
Like I don't think that would stop anyone from his zapping or anything. Like I don't think age scenes count as, something you should care about spoiling or not. But who knows? I've never enjoyed one. Anyways, so let's actually go to what I was originally talking about. Yep.
Yeah.
Age scenes. Are they really necessary? So I think that in a lot of visual novels, age scenes are kind of like forced into it. Like in Katawa Shoujo is one of those exceptions where on one hand it's optional if you want to view it or not. And on the second hand, it's optional. That makes a really big difference to a lot of people, including myself. Like not having to click the control button is like it feels good. Like even if you do click the control button, you're probably going to see a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty uncomfortable and it pushes a few people, you could say, away from the medium. So, like overall, would you guys say are age scenes necessary in visual novels or not? All right, go ahead.
I wouldn't say they're necessary for all of them, but I think it's very useful for some things, if it fits within the story. I think...
Yeah, case in point, yeah.
So for Magikoi, which I'm reading at the moment, there's a number of routes where it's just part of the romance. It's normal for teenagers after getting together to have sex, after they've known each other for a while. And it's kind of weird that oftentimes in literature it's like, oh yeah, we're now together as a couple and we will do nothing but kiss and hold hands until we get married. It's just not realistic. So I think
Every
it's,
romance anime ever.
Indeed.
so I think it's much better that VNs actually say, yes, it is normal for teenagers to have sex. Even if sometimes we get oh yeah, all these high school kids who looks like they're 13 are actually 18. Because we need
They
this
don't look
to
like they're
make it
13,
legal.
they look like they're 10.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry,
yeah,
continue,
Like
continue, Kenneth.
pedophilia is another topic. Let's not get into that. Let's just assume that all the girls in visual novels are actually 18 years old, and forget that they look like they're 8.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's normal for sex to be part of a relationship, so I don't think there's any reason that it should be excluded from games where characters actually have serious relationships and it's leading in that direction. I think it can be an entirely different issue if you're saying, hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but let's have sex now.
Hashtag every visual novel I've ever read, or at least the vast majority.
Yay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess there's also cases like Heaven's Feel, where I think them having sex within Heaven's Feel really fits with the whole tone.
Like, yeah, I've heard that. Like, I've heard that a lot. Like that Heaven's Feel is so exceptional. Like the H scenes are actually good. But I mean, I read the Rialto Noah version, so I'm actually. Okay, so this is obviously going to be a spoiler, but I want to hear like how exactly it's quote unquote different in Heaven's Feel.
Do you want to take it, Kenneth, or should I
Go ahead.
basically try and describe it? Okay. There's one which is entirely pointless. It's the first one, which is just a dream sequence with
Tosaka.
Shiro and Rin. With Tosaka.
Yeah.
That's
I
entirely
happen
pointless.
to see that.
That literally seems like the developers were just, oh shit, we only put in one H scene in Rin's front. We need another one.
We need a packing break.
Okay. What do we do? Dream sequence. Good. Just put it in. Go. Move on. The other ones with Sakura, though, those, they only happened after Shiro and Sakura had developed their relationship to the point where something like that could be realistic. Also, I believe it fits with their characters in that Sakura. You mentioned something like this in our Fates and Night podcast, Kenneth, that Sakura just has this sort of personality that she just wants Shiro to take care of her, and she's just very submissive to Shiro.
Yeah.
And so it also kind of makes sense for her to try and just throw herself before Shiro and just take care with me, do whatever you want. And so it fits within the context of the story, the H scenes in Heaven's Feel, I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything against them, at least in Heaven's Feel.
Yeah. Although, but I would call that like those H scenes sound like fine, but I wouldn't like. Would you call them necessary for the plot? Because that's what I hear a lot of people saying.
Yeah, I would say that they're necessary for the plot because it's helped characterize Sakura and who she is as a character, and the fact that she is willing to do all this for Shiro.
Yeah.
I think it would be very different if Sakura and Shiro had like this very sweet, innocent relationship, because that's not who Sakura is as a character. She's like badly damaged as a person and also really dependent on Shiro. And I think in order to show that, they can't just have Shiro and Sakura holding hands through the game.
Well, but like in the Rialto Noah version, they didn't. I don't remember too well, but they didn't hold hands and stuff. They. Like, if I remember correctly, like I think she bites his hand or something, and then somehow dolphins come out. It was something close to like, you remember the dragon, the dragon thing? It was something along those lines. Like, it didn't make that much sense, but
no, it makes no. They, as far as I know, in the Rialto Noah version, they just rip out the H's and then just put in either a CG dragon or a CG dolphin or something like that, and it makes no sense. It's just a big black box to censor out the H scenes.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't feel that they were quote unquote like, you know, happy and I mean, like in this innocent way you kind of describe it, because I mean, you kind of like you hear about the little lychee things raping Sakura and stuff.
Wait,
like
but
that's not
Kenneth said that she wasn't innocent, right?
Yeah, but he's saying like if it weren't for those H scenes, she might seem innocent, or the relationship would seem innocent. But like in my opinion, it didn't. It felt pretty serious.
I don't think that's what Kenneth really said, but whatever. We can continue to move on.
Out of curiosity,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
no, no, I don't have anything to say.
All right. And what about you, Rich? What do you think about H scenes being necessary or not?
I'm kind of ambivalent. It really depends on what I'm reading and what the genre is. For instance, my favorite game is actually Katahane. And the
Never heard of it.
wait, just one thing. Can you
Sure.
like at least try to reference visual novels that are a little bit more known? Just
well,
you can.
Katahane was a
Go ahead.
TL Wiki release that was on Fuwa before the Fuwa that took out the torrents.
And it never came back. Rip.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
rip.
go ahead.
All right, so I'll use 3 examples. Two of which should be well known. They're both official releases. Anyway, so Katahane, I'll use that as my first one because it's easy. Katahane is the story about basically a theater troupe who decides to rewrite an historic event, and in doing so actually discover that what they are writing was the truth. The game is actually a game within a game. There is a 8-hour route in the middle of the story. It's called Shirahane. And that specific route talks about the relationship between the queen at the time and her basically living doll, mechanical doll. And in that scene, she helps the doll become human by basically proving to her that she can feel, and obviously sex ensues because, well, this is how it works. And
Yeah, of course.
because of that, that was the plot device that was used. And in that case, it was required, and they actually did it very well. But the rest of the scenes in the game were all entirely forced and weren't necessary at all. In that essence, it depends on what's going on in the story. Is the build-up correct? If they just say, oh, well, it's been, an hour since these two have fucked each other, let's have them fuck, that's, that's not gonna work. In the same vein, the game, I actually was part of a group that fan translated the first Sukusho game, and that's a boys love title. And in
female audience.
yes, yay Fujoshis. And in that game, a very similar thing happened where you have your one kid who is a ghost that, wants to know what sex feels like, and that's literally his entire route. And in most cases, I think it's justified. But for him, if they didn't have sex in that route, well, that route wouldn't make any sense. But the rest of the sex scenes in the game were completely useless. In one route, you have the teacher fucking the kid in front of his best friend, amongst other things. And again, it's based on the scenario. Does it make sense with the scenario? And if so, put the scene in. If it doesn't, you have to decide whether or not is it going to be worth the time to put a sex scene in here when it might very well ruin the ambiance of the game, it might ruin the flow, it might force a bunch of new things that have to happen because, well, they've had sex. And that can ruin a story really, really fast.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that's basically kind of my opinion too.
I feel like the most the most popular visual novels that have H scenes have like the worst H scenes. Like Fate Stay Night is a very obvious example.
Well, when one person has played it and they've told all their friends and all their friends told their friends, et cetera, and so forth, everyone's going to want to read it and they're going to think, oh, well, this is the norm. And then you get that random one Dojin game that happens to be amazing, but maybe 20 people have played it because, well, it's not Fate Stay Night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like another one I could think of is Grisaya, which I haven't read all, but like I reached.
That just came
Come
out.
on, Grisaya
I
doesn't
reached-
have that bad.
I reached the Machina H scene, and
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I dropped the road. That's I dropped the route.
Poor Machina,
Yeah,
poor
so-
Machina.
That's a whole different issue.
Speaking of which,
Yeah,
that
well,
did just
okay.
come out, 18 plus on Dempasoft. That did just come out yesterday.
Interesting.
Fantastic.
All right. Now we can we can actually tell Mad Trucks to review a good game for once.
Maybe.
Right. Okay, so that's as far. Actually, I want to ask you something since you were a translator.
Actually, I haven't said my opinion on this whole matter yet.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
yeah, okay. Well, my general opinion on sex in any media is that it's basically the same as Ryechu, and I think you basically have the same opinion, Kenneth, in that as long as it just works in the context of the story, then yeah, put it in. It's fine. Just go ahead as long as it works. My problem with it is that in 90% of visual novels, it's
That
not
are popular.
really put in. It's not really put in just for the sake of the story. It is more or less. It seems to have been put in just because we're talking about visual novels here.
Yeah.
And visual novels must have age scenes. It's just kind of a thing.
Brings
they
in
must
the
have
money.
it. Yeah, basically, it sells Dakimakuros, it sells figurines. So it's those seems so entirely pointless, and it really irritates me. I mean, the perfect example is of course the ruin scene in Fate Stay Night.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, that one. Because it doesn't fit in the story at all. It's completely pointless. It's
No,
nothing to
it
the
does
plot.
fit the context because they need magic powers.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
They
I
need
suggest
Magic powers. Magic powers. That is the worst excuse for ages I've ever heard. It's like no excuse at all would have been a better excuse than that excuse when it came out in Fate Stay Night.
One thing that's interesting to note is that it's actually like kind of a myth in like ancient I think ancient Chinese tradition that having sex does actually increase your magic powers. Like, I'm just putting that out there. It still sucks. It's still stupid, but like it does come from somewhere.
So what? You need to recharge your fairy power or something?
That sounds like a poor excuse.
Yeah, it's still a poor example. But yeah, at least
I'm not buying it.
Okay, can I make a request
Granted.
that if we're going, can we not talk about Fate Stay Night quite as much so this does not become the
yeah, it really is
Night
becoming a Fate Stay Night
anti-scene
review,
podcast?
sorry. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, I could be that one guy and said I've never read it, but I would be lying.
But you didn't actually just say that.
No.
All right. You want to say anything else, Ash, or?
Well, there's one thing I also want to add.
Yeah.
It's everybody always brings up that the scene needs to fit in the context of plot, and that's 100% true in my opinion. But you also kind of need to focus on how is the scene itself made out, because something that always bugs me quite a bit is just the camera angle in how the scene is drawn. Because I mean, if the camera is placed and focused in a way that zooms in on the girl's all the most, shall we say, private parts of the girl in a way that is just drawn to be as seductive as possible, that just makes it feel even more awkward. Because in that case, it's like the game is not saying, "Hey, look at these two people. They're sharing this really wonderful moment together. It's really beautiful, isn't it?" No, it's just like the game is saying, "Hey, player, you're now having sex with this 2D girl. Isn't this awesome?"
Time.
Yeah, basically that.
The shadow male. The shadowy male.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I guess the main goal of H scenes is to like stop players from getting bored and just go up on watching porn from now and then. Like if that's
scenes for that.
You get that feeling
that's
every
what-
once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's for the necessity. But by the way, another visual novel that some people like continuously point to as far as necessity in HDs goes to is what was it called? Kansai no Uta. Yeah. Have any of you even read that one?
Nope.
I have not, and I will never play it because
Yeah.
I don't like horror.
I'm
Right,
ditto. I'm not a horror person.
Thank you. I'm happy to bond with you on this topic,
Yes.
Ryechu.
Wow. So I'm like the only one here. You freaking plebs,
Yeah.
guys.
F you.
All right.
I accept my pleb
Anyways.
status in terms of being a pussy towards horror games. I accept.
All right.
Ditto.
All right. Oh yeah. By the way, I wanted to ask you something, Rich. How does it feel like translating H scenes?
Okay, so just a reminder, I only edit. I have actually never translated.
Oh,
I
that's a disappointment.
well, I do have a perfect
go
example
ahead.
for you. We did Nosebleed and I from the Fuwa community, we did put out a Nukage a couple weeks ago called Lilium times Triangle. And it's a short, low budget Yuri title.
Wait, you put out as in you made it?
We released a fan translated patch for it.
Oh.
It's
okay.
it's a Japanese release game that Nosebleed translated and I edited. And it was
Right.
it's a Nukage, it lasts about 2 hours. I think it's 5 scenes per girl if I remember right. And there's two
Wow.
it's 2 girls in the pro tag.
Wow.
So 10 hours in. So
how much
10
H
out
scenes
10
that?
out it's 10 H scenes in total. For
Wow.
and
10 H
and
scenes,
you
2 hours.
can well yeah you could play the game about 2 hours. But no,
that's
for that
1 age scene per 12 minutes.
yeah, give or take. For that type of thing though.
Do people?
Huh?
Okay. Like, do people fap through the entire 2 hours? Like, are they just?
I know some people who do. I personally don't because I've read so many Nukage that it takes a lot for me to be
It's
interested.
just not erotic anymore.
Yeah, I mean
Alright.
they have to do something pretty fucking crazy for it to work with me.
Uh,
But anyway,
That's what-
we actually have tricks that we use to properly translate voices. I was having an issue with moans specifically, trying to figure out
oh god.
because
How do they do that?
well, what
Like,
they can do.
like, 10 lines
there's
would
two
be
ways.
moans.
There's 2 ways they can do it. Number one, you can edit a line literally by listening to it in game and just translating exactly what you hear, which is what I did. And there is I can just translate the text literally from Japanese to English and do it that way. And that typically doesn't sound as good as, pulling up the game, having the script next to the game, and putting in what you
All I
hear every
usually
line.
read is Fwa.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
That's all I usually read. And what they're like, that's not how moans sound as far as I can tell.
Yeah, not usually, but that's what the voice actors did, so I had to follow it. But what was difficult though was with the Sukusho game. Actually, so we're going back to Boys Love really fast. There was a scene where a character was filleting the pro tag and was doing moans, and the only way to properly do that is to do it yourself. And I am bisexual, for the record, and I don't care if anyone knows. I actually have a dildo that I had in my mouth the entire time I was editing the scene, and every single line that they did, I actually said the line and voiced it as I heard it.
That's fucking awesome.
That is
the best thing.
best
That's
way.
literally the coolest
is-
thing I've ever heard the entire day.
That is some
Thank
next
you for
level
sharing
weak
that.
shit. That is like you just wow.
That's awesome.
That's how you do it. And Nosebleed actually just started another translation called Immoral Little. It's going to be another fan translated title, where the pro tag is a masochist and 2 lollies are basically going to be his femdoms. So, of course, there is going to be more dildo filleting.
That's freaking
Alright.
cool. Like, seriously.
All right.
And that's how I do it.
Okay, that just okay. That was said. All right. So what were we
Babiker is
talking
feeling
about?
awkward.
All right, let's move on to another question. All right. So there was actually an H scene thread that I made myself called "The Impact of H Scenes on Visual Novels." Yep, this one towards the very end, unfortunately, went the same way all other H scene threads go.
Yeah,
Which
it's kind of to be
everyone saw.
expected, honestly, just
Yeah.
because it's a minefield. It's almost as controversial as, like, the piracy question.
Someone's
be
going to
honest,
walk in and say, "I don't like this picture. Get rid of it." And then
Like,
the thread tails
I
the
think
Then
fence.
the
I-
internet explodes.
Like, to be honest, I think that one of the biggest reasons that these threads get locked in Novel is because a very small minority of people, like, are extremely, how can I say, bad-mouthed
Arrogant?
about the entire thing. Yep, foul-mouthed about the entire thing, the entire subject.
So
And
that's what
just really
happened
don't know.
Santa's pedophilia post. Sonata League. He did a post about he did a post about a release
Yeah.
of a 3D Dojin, basically touching game, and
Uh-huh.
the conversation on it was actually perfectly fine. until I don't even know who it was. I think it was some member who was here for like 2 days and then left. The thread's been locked and hidden, so I can't find it anyway. But basically was threatening like, "Oh my God, this is pedophilia!" Rah 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 rah. Well, it says it in the title.
Those people are the worst.
If you don't like
Seriously.
it, don't click it.
Click on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was actually some decent conversation going on in that thread, and I've actually played the game. It's pretty fucking good. But it literally turned into one person decided to be angry about it, and next thing you know, the entire thread's gone. Lolly and Shota are both banned completely. That's since been changed.
Wow. So it was that thread. It was that thread.
That was the thread that caused that.
Oh wow.
Wait, who got banned?
Lolly in general got banned. Shota in general got banned. Basically, if
the word lolly.
No, pictures.
To be
pictures
okay. Let's just be very specific. Like extremely nude pictures of lollies and underage characters.
Yes.
Were like officially banned from Fortnite.
Yeah,
So,
and
Like,
mods had a
banned
field day
even-
trying to get through everything.
Like, it's even banned now in the sense that you can't even link pictures with the NSFW warning. You can't even do
You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Wow, that's come on.
Yeah, it makes it
Sad.
really rough, especially with food reviews because it's under the same host.
Yeah,
I have to properly censor everything, otherwise it will get taken down almost immediately.
Yeah.
Right. Like, seriously, can I just say this? That people who are so completely convinced that they are in the right, whether they are for H-scenes or against H-scenes, they are completely 100% in the belief that everything is black and white and they are in the right, and they will not take any arguments, they will not listen to anything you say. Those people are quite possibly the most annoying people on the internet, and that says a lot.
Agreed.
I disagree
seriously.
with you, Oscar, and I will fight you to the death.
I will make
with
popcorn.
You or fight you to the
I'm making popcorn. Babiker, let's go watch.
Okay, let's go ahead. You go ahead. I'll go ahead. Take it out.
It will be thumb
No,
wrestling.
I-
Enjoy.
Through with this.
All right. But
Okay.
anyway.
Well, fight me. What topic do you want to fight over? Come at me, bro.
All right. To go to the actual questions I asked.
This is more important. I want to hear this. Do you have anything, Kenneth, or was that just a joke?
No, that was purely a joke.
Okay, continue then.
All right. So on to the questions of this thread. So what I was actually I was talking to one of my close friends about how I want to tell a lot of my friends about visual novels, but the fact that like they have H scenes and that's kind of a touchy subject, especially where I live. Even if it's mentioned, people are gonna be like, whoa, no way, dude. So yeah, so I'd be like if like all or at least most H scenes, like if there was just the Kato or Shoujo option of not reading them, I would have a lot more freedom in sharing the whole visual novel stuff and I think visual novels would spread more if that option was just a little bit more common.
And then that one Nukage would show up where, they decide to cut out all the H content and the game only lasts 5 minutes.
Yeah, but honestly, I can see where you're coming from, Babiker. I can definitely see that where you're coming from, that it would help spread the visual novels, just being able to say that you can turn them off. Yeah. But I have this good example of this. It's Kamiyu, Black Dragon in Gentle Kingdom. The translators, they did add in that option that you could turn off the H scenes, but it was this thing that you could see all of the build-up, all of the little clearly suggestive language just going into the H scenes, and then it just faded to black and then faded out from black just when they would have the H scenes CGs, so to speak. And it because they made it so obvious that they effed during this moment.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it helped to have that option to turn the H scenes off, because it felt like you just knew it was that. You knew exactly what they were doing. So I don't think that would help very much, honestly. I feel that in order for a game to work without sex scenes, it just has to be written without age scenes from the get-go.
So I'm actually going to disagree with that. I think it
Okay.
depends on why you find 8 scenes objectionable. If you find it objectionable just because of the thought of the characters having sex, that's one thing, but I'm sure there's some people who find it objectionable because they just don't want to see those images. And they think that it's immoral to see those images.
Yeah, or it's a specific fetish.
Oh, okay.
He hit the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't actually think about that.
Because
but
the Starless game that just came out recently, they actually had to cut out material. For the English release, they cut out a couple specific bestiality scenes, a scene where a penis gets severed by a guillotine, and a couple with scat, I think? I can't remember, but, like, there's a couple fetishes that even I won't read.
Oh wow.
Guillotine.
Mind blown.
Yeah. No.
You mean that machine that is used for execution?
Yes.
Ouch.
What the fuck?
Yeah, there was a scene where penis was removed via guillotine, so that was always fun.
This is
And
like
then
fetishes episode 2.
oh god. But no, I mean, but then there's like the fan translated titles like Hidaka Shitsuji. I can't say that word. I'm sorry. Where one of the characters is actually eating out of a dog bowl, then subsequently gets fucked by a dog. So, you know, there are some weird fetishes out there that, you know, those a lot of people find objectionable, including myself. And that's, you know, that's where I could see where some games would not fly.
See, when you say that they are objectionable, do you mean objectionable to their like
morality.
Existence? Yeah, okay, you mean the morality. See, I actually kind of disagree with that because this is almost like a deeper question. I basically have this moral stance in that if there's some sort of fictional media that doesn't hurt anyone, as long as it's just purely fictional, then I don't think there's like anything you could do in it. Like literally anything that is completely just by definition wrong to do. Because you can always make the argument that this doesn't hurt anyone. It is purely a fantasy.
Okay, I'm actually going to jump in and disagree with this one too. I guess I will be fighting.
Guys,
with
we're
that.
sidetracking. We're sidetracking a bit too much. So make your answer short, Bell.
Okay. So very quickly, I think you can have things in a game or in any form of media that like normalize a certain behavior. I think the most recent example that I came across is I was reading a VN where the protagonist was like, "This girl's going to leave me. I need to do something. Oh, I know. I'll like bind her and fuck her, and that will like solve all my problems, and she'll stay with me." And his friends were like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Right on, man." No, Magicoi, actually.
Oh, okay.
School days work.
So, in that case, it's suggesting, oh yeah, like, rape is fine, and, like, to be applauded. And I think, obviously, a lot of people are going to say, okay, obviously, this is, like, wrong, but I think there's some people, like, presumably some people are going to be reading VNs who are, like, a younger audience. And in that case, this is not how that they should be encountering consent issues.
So, but Babiker, I know. Can I keep sidetracking because I want to answer this?
You have 5 minutes max. Go ahead.
Okay, I won't need that much. This is leading into a different topic, but you say that it would influence the audience. I say not necessarily, because as long as they are a mental stable person, they should be able to tell that this is fantasy. What's okay in fantasy is not necessarily okay in reality. I mean, you can make this argument that anyone who plays video games like Call of Duty, Halo, they are shooting down people in masses and is basically committing genocide on the TV every single day. But we're totally fine with that.
Okay.
And even though everybody plays Call of Duty, you don't hear that many stories about like shootings, at least not here in Sweden.
The difference is, I don't know about Sweden, certainly in North America, there is like a real issue with how people interpret consent. And like, the problem is within, at least in North American society, there are people who think like, if the girl is like knocked out unconscious and isn't saying no, then you're good to go. And then, if you're then reinforcing that in a game where there's already some people who have this opinion, even though it's strictly not legal anyways, it's not something that should be encouraged. It's not the same as like shooting people up is clearly illegal no matter where you are, no matter what context, and it's clearly, even if a pro tag's doing it, you're going to consider it wrong. I think it's very different for something like non-con sex.
I can see that point. Yeah, I don't really have any good arguments against that right now, so I won't say anything.
Right, so now the philosophers have finished their debate about morality. We could move on to age scenes.
Success.
All right. Well, I was actually saying something earlier. Yeah, I was talking to someone. Yes, and I said I made the point, but then I said something along the lines of like if I think that if all the age scenes in at least the most popular visual novels were to be removed, like visual novels would actually have a bigger audience than they have right now. And then he said no. He said that the audience that age scenes brings in is equivalent to the amount of audience it deters away.
He's basically saying that perverts are being drawn to visual novels simply because they know that there is sex in the game. Is that essentially what he's saying?
Yeah, basically, like the amount of people who read visual novels because there's age scenes like equals the amount of people who don't read visual novels because there are age scenes. So that's basically like the end of the thread. Like most of the people said that it has at the end no impact because the same people who go in will go out. So what do you guys think about that? Go ahead, Ash.
What's weird about that... Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
What's weird about that is you have your Steam community, which is generally where all of these raw, I hate H scenes, rabble rouse and throw a parade, I hate H scenes. You know, that's where most of them tend to congregate. And then, you know, I could probably safely say that 75% of those people have never played, will probably never play, nor have seen information about a visual novel that is sexual in nature. You know, they see the people that, you know, there's Eden, for the sake of an example. Eden is on Steam as the all ages version, basically cuts out all the H material.
Right.
And I guarantee you, at least 75% of the people do not even realize that there is an 18 plus version, and they probably don't care. Then you have those 5 or 10 people that, excuse me, those 5 to 10 people that are up in arms because they found this one game that had a sex scene in it, and lo and behold, this whole community exists, and because I've never played one, and I don't know what to think about this, and I'm a moral quote-unquote person, or, you know, whatever convenient excuse they decide to come up with at the time. It turns into this, like, here's what I say, well, here's what I say, well, here's what I say, well, here's what I say. And what they don't know won't hurt them, but when they do know, then they start to become the vocal ones, and those get really annoying because how can you defend yourself or a medium to someone who has seen maybe one scene and can't really make a good decision anyway?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. Say, you were saying this about Babiker, that people, the amount of people that age scenes draws in is about equal to the amount of people it deters.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see arguments for why that would be true and why that would be false, but the thing is, I don't think there's any real data. I don't think there's any numbers on that.
Yeah, it's just a feeling.
It's like nobody can really say if that is true or false until someone somehow were to sit down and actually make a study on it. And until then,
but you could
just like opinions.
You could kind of like use pre-examples. Like for example, like you could say that Steam brings a lot of people to visual novels, or at least like a considerable amount. Maybe not the visual novels that are like mainstream in full novel, but at least it brings them to some kind of visual novels.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Steam is definitely a huge.
It's getting a lot more people into it for sure, and you know, if 10% of those decide to go up and pick up and
but the thing is, Yeah, the thing is, they won't. Like, if they were 18 plus, they wouldn't even be on Steam, right? So
Yeah.
No, Steam
Well,
has Steam
Exactly.
doesn't allow 18 plus games.
They did have
Exactly. So
Everlasting
it's just
Summer
that-
up there for a while, though. That was kind of fun.
Everlasting is that
That
is
was
how
that
they-
that was
so
that was the Russian one where for the first about 2 weeks it did, and
Wow.
then Steam finally realized, holy shit, these have age scenes,
and
That's
that
interesting.
and subsequently said, hey, either take it down or take them out, and I think within a day they had it a all ages version up, but they've since
Right.
released the 18 plus version on their site.
okay.
Yeah, that I think that happens to like the vast majority of games on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I was getting to is that I think, like, I believe that if not most, but almost like all visual novels that were translated today, like if they were just if they got a like all ages version, were put on Steam, we would have like almost a real gaming community. Like we would have a huge surge in numbers and stuff. Like people would get into the real novels. We're talking Fate Stay Night. We're talking well, Rewrite doesn't have it, but like we're talking Grisaya, stuff like that. Grisaya, I think, already has the non-18 version released somewhere.
Grisaya already
Yeah.
has an all
Yeah.
ages version.
Yeah,
It's on
so
Steam.
just that what I would like to see. It's not that I want to see the 18 plus things like evaporated, but I want to see everything that has an 18 plus version have another version just for those, even if they're 10%. Even like if it's enough to get it on Steam, I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like putting a
I-
18 plus version.
I can see that, but the thing is, that would certainly be a great thing, but as far as what I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think that it's the age scenes which is the major deterrent or major problem with putting things on Steam. It's just the major problem is just basically lawyers. It's that the people who did make the translation, they were just fan translators, and they don't have the legal rights to
Yeah,
put it on
that's a
Steam.
good point.
And the people who do own the games, like the Japanese companies, they don't necessarily care about putting games on Steam because they don't necessarily think there's an English audience for it. And in many cases, they're kind of right because we don't have much of a community here in the West yet. Plus, it's just the fact
Yeah.
that visual novels is reading, and reading is not popular right now. Books are not cool. And so even if we were to put all, Fate Stay Night, Marvel Alternative, Steins Gate, even if we were to get all of those great names on
Yeah.
Steam, it's not necessarily that people would want to read them simply because it's reading.
I
So
don't agree.
Yeah, I
Sorry?
don't agree either.
I'm going to continue this
Okay.
trend. So
Sure.
there are actually a reasonable number of books that have been fairly successful and have had movie
Yeah, we all know that,
adaptations recently,
right?
and that's like fairly common knowledge. I don't think reading is becoming any less popular. I think there's two combined issues. Reading is less popular than video games, and anime is like less popular in Western culture than like standard Western TV shows, and you're essentially combining the two. There's some people who will be turned off purely by the art style. I have a number of friends who like will not touch anything
Yeah.
anime related because they can't stand the art. And then there's the
Understandable.
people who like enjoy gaming but don't want to read. So I don't think it's just no.
Yeah, like the
books.
vast majority of visual novel readers are people who, on one hand, watch anime and on the other hand, read novels. That's like usually what people kind of read visual novels. But it's just that I think it's a major deterrent. It's not necessarily the biggest one. Like that will need a study and a bigger opinion than me, a bigger guy with more knowledge than me to know. But but I'm pretty sure that it plays pretty big part, a considerable part, especially where I live. Yeah.
Speaking
It's
of
basically
legality
what I'm
and
saying.
things like that, there's actually a message that was put up on Manga Gamer recently from Almar Chinakasai. He's I can't remember if he's the director of Hentai Industries, or if he's
Director of
their
Hentai
PR, or if he's their PR, if he's just their PR guy. But I'm just gonna take a quick quote from it. Basically, he says that he had a couple projects coming up that he is decided not to release in English. And I think this actually piggybacks on the previous comment as well as this one. And I'm just going to quote it right here. The reason being that taboos in Japan and the West are not the same. As I'm sure you all know, Japanese society has a pretty relaxed view towards sexual taboos. But then why do we cover up things with mosaics, you might ask? Well, for me, we all know the reasons World War II. Well, that's more of a legal issue. Business and culture aren't the same thing, because Japan is a place inhabited almost entirely by Japanese people. Our idea of what's normal seems to be pretty different from other cultures.
Yeah.
It's a culture-related thing.
Yeah, it's
a culture,
that's basically
and it's a thing. It's a.
I mean, I can kind of see that with where you live, Babiker, in that, okay, this might be a mean thing for me to say right now, but I can possibly see that people in your country would be more put off by sex scenes than I think a lot of people here in Sweden.
Yeah, that's
would
a
be.
very fair thing to say. Yeah.
I mean, certainly people here would raise an eyebrow. If I
people
was to
here
tell
would.
them that
I don't mind. Like, people here would just burn it. Like, I just go ahead and say that.
Okay.
Burn it all, boys.
Yeah.
Death to the
And
pirates.
I would honestly like to see like a lot of visual novels get popular, even if it's here. Like rewrite other stuff, and I would say that over here, like you guys definitely don't know like that there's even might not even know that there's like an anime community and stuff here. But the thing is, like there is, and it's pretty big. I think they're just the biggest problem with getting into visual novels is over here, at least I'm pretty sure is Hastings. Like I could only go like I could only recommend it to the closest of friends, because I'm sure like they won't judge me or style. Like if I tell them, oh, you can skip them, oh, you can click this, oh, that they won't like be like, oh, Babiker watches these kind of stuff, oh, he's a bad guy, oh, blah blah blah. Yeah, it's pretty problematic. Pretty problematic over here.
They are actually localizing Jishinjo no Mao in Arabic right now.
Yeah, I heard.
Wait,
about
what?
that, and
Wait,
I'm
what?
really looking forward to it.
I did not. I never heard about that.
Yeah, it's
That's
I'll link you the VNDB link. But no, they're actually working on localizing that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
freaking
the
awesome.
kind of stuff. Yep, especially like Jisen Junomad's super awesome visual novel that would definitely gain.
And
like,
basically what they
at least
did,
another
they are making it all ages. That's about the only caveat.
Yeah.
It is going to be all ages.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'll link it to you.
Yeah, so that's so that's basically what I'd like to see more of. Both versions. So anyway, that I think we've finished the first question I had here.
Yeah, on a note of morality, though, do you think it's slightly odd that Steam and like most other Western distributors seem to be absolutely fine with having things that are like... I'm trying to remember. There was one that recently got released on Steam, whose name escapes me at the moment, where you essentially are a serial killer, go out and around murdering everyone, innocents and as such. And that's like perfectly fine on Steam, but nothing with any amount of sex is allowed, because that would be bad for the audience of Steam, and like feels really weird when sex is perfectly legal in like most situations, whereas going on a murder spree is never legal.
And that's a visual novel?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
It's a game.
Video
It's
game.
Hatred, isn't it? I think it's
Hatred,
called
yes.
Hatred.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Hatred.
I know
Yeah,
exactly
heard a lot
what
about
I know
that.
exactly what you're talking about, Kenneth. I mean, it definitely seems hypocritical to allow we just slaughter everything video games. Well,
Kill it all.
Sex video games, it's not. Okay, but again, I think it's just a cultural thing. It's just here in the West, we're just used to just seeing TV series and movies and video games about where people are just being killed in masses. It's just something that we're used to, basically, as an entire, as almost a part of civilization. Where sex scenes, on the other hand, anything sexual in the West is far more taboo than anything that involves killing and murder and just cruelty in general. So again, I think it's just a cultural taboo.
Yeah, understandable one. All right. See if I even have another question. I think we kind of covered everything. I'm not even sure.
I actually have a
If
question
anyone
for
wants to
people.
ask something, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, noticeably in Western culture, well, it's not acceptable to have sex scenes in video games in general, not just VNs. It's like pretty acceptable in literature to have erotic literature, which pretty much covers the exact same stuff.
Oh,
Like
that's a
50
good
Shades of
point.
Grey, and to a lesser extent in
50 Shades of
movies, too.
Grey got a lot of hate. Like 50 Shades of Grey is kind of an exception in how far it goes, and it got quite a lot of what can I say? little guys screaming against it, just the same way our little guys scream against it. But in 50 Shades of Grey, I dare say that a lot of people were standing up against that. Like in a kind of this must be banned. This must not exist. This should be burned.
Are you talking about Saudi Arabia right now, Babiker?
No. Even in the West, yeah. Even in the West.
To be honest, I just want to say that I think the majority of hatred towards 50 Shades of Grey was just because it was popular. And popular things gets hatred just because they're popular.
Yeah.
You know, Justin Bieber, Twilight, the Ice Bucket Challenge, Sword Art Online, those kinds of things.
It's a bit obvious when it's a popular thing. Like I remember just once or twice, I just ran into a feminist, and when she talked about 50 Shades of Grey, yeah.
Okay, leaving that aside, there's like other erotic literature, some of which even has got taught in English classes. And
wow.
You'll occasionally get angry parents, but like even for 50 Shades of Grey and a lot of stuff, it's actually read by middle-aged women who tend to be like way more conservative than the average person within society.
But I'd also like to add that when it's written, it's a lot more okay than when it's like when there's pictures. There's a huge difference.
You don't understand.
It's Playboy.
It's a book. It's a book. You don't like books are read by like smart people and intellectual people. That means it's okay. You don't see the deep and metaphorical value. The fact that she's lying down here on the floor and is being taken over by this man, it's like a metaphor for females' subjectiveness in society and that they are oppressed in society. You don't understand the deeper message.
People like that, dude. I don't think there are many lunatics like that in the world.
No, that would actually describe most of my English teachers.
But they're all vocal. Every last one of them is going to be a vocal motherfucker, yeah.
Really? Well, I'm glad I haven't met much of those. But I would definitely say like even here written literature is like almost fine. Like because no one gives a damn because well on one hand like I would dare say very few people even read, but on the other hand like it's just I don't know, it's a lot more acceptable by I think all cultures to like read about this than it is to see pictures. Like, it's a huge
should
difference.
It be more acceptable? Like is there any difference at all?
Well, now you're logically questioning a moral thing, so.
Well, it's easier to put sexual content in video games and movies on the news and then make headlines out of it and gain views than it is to try and make headlines out of lines in books. So Fox News would tell you that it's a lot easier to make money if it's a controversy in video games or movies or TV shows than books.
Yeah, honestly,
no one cares about books. They're just culturally accepted, even if they're thingamajiggy, what's it called? Even if they're erotic, they're just culturally accepted by a lot more than.
That's
pictures.
why Playboy is so accepted because it's so ingrained in society.
No, Playboy has pictures, dude. Playboy has pictures. Like I'm talking full.
It has fiction too.
Books. Yeah, but we all know you're not buying Playboy to read fan fiction.
Sure, I am.
No, you're not. You're not reading freaking.
I don't have a subscription though. No, I just play visual novels. That's all good.
I think
Yeah.
the difference is people accept that literature can be art, and if it's art, then it can't be porn. I don't think people have the same idea for video games at this point, or even anything that's of a visual medium. They think
basically what I was saying. Pictures, no. Text, fine. That's how society is. Whether it should be or not, that's an answer. That's something I can't answer in your question, but it's just how it is.
I think it'll change though, because if we look at movies way back when, what was allowable in that was very much more restrictive than what it is now.
I would also say the same.
And films are now seen more as art than entertainment. So
yeah.
I can see the same thing happening with VNs if they ever manage to get off the ground.
Oh, that's going to take a long time. I mean,
as soon as pigeon visual novels stop coming out, we're good. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Pigeon visual novels are fine.
Pigeon visual novel? The funny part is that the pigeon visual novel was actually, good.
Yeah, Hatoful Boyfriend was actually solid.
Yeah.
No, shockingly. It didn't have age scenes.
No, it did not have pigeon age scenes.
Yes,
Pigeon sex, everybody!
I don't even know.
Here we go!
Make that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's either that or, you can watch Cat Girls do it. I mean...
Babiker,
I don't
how many questions do you still have? Otherwise, I have one.
Nope,
which is another one.
I'm pretty much out of questions. We've more or less covered almost everything, but go ahead and ask anything.
Okay. In that case, I just want to ask you all, what is, in your opinion, and this might be, might want to try and dodge around the minefield of spoilers, but what is, in your opinion, the best and worst age scene that you have seen so far?
No comment. Anyone else? Santa Claus here.
I think this could be fun.
This is gonna be fun.
This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'll start with my worst and go around the list, and I have to actually go find my favorite one because I need to remember the line from it that made it my favorite. My least favorite one is actually from Dual Phase. And
Never heard of it.
So,
Never heard of it.
Short version is it is a Nukage that you cannot find anymore. It was DMC'd and I've had it since 2009.
Wow.
If you want a
Such
copy,
ancient
ask me
history.
for it.
No
Fuck it.
thanks. Keep that to
Anyway,
yourself.
two sisters that are two twin sisters that don't look to be any older than maybe like 11.
Good start. Keep
Good
going.
start, yeah, definitely a great start. There is a scene where they're in the 69 position, double fisting each other to their shoulders. And
My mind just deleted those words and refused to imagine them.
That's good.
I'm very glad. Okay, go ahead.
Let me actually hold on. I wanted to look up the actual title of the game. It's more than Dual Phase. No, it'll actually make more sense. It's Dual Phase Sokukoro, Anal Mo Vagina Mo Hirogachi Mashita, which basically means ass and pussy enlargement. And they aren't kidding.
Into the details here.
Yeah, they aren't kidding.
Like we've gotten the picture here, right? You can move on.
The entire game.
To be fair,
the entire game is the worst H scene ever. Straight up. I'll go find my favorite.
You can't accuse the developer for not being honest about what the game was. The game developers were upfront about it.
Okay, guys. Okay, when you move on to your best one, it would be very nice if you were like a little bit less descriptive.
Sure.
Now go ahead.
All right. So, I won't find the line, but I remember it. It's from a game called Come On Bukake Ranch, which these are great titles. I know. Basically a monster girl protag has to save the world by getting the quote unquote arrow ments from various monster girls. There's a specific scene where one of the monster girls, who is a scientist, manages to get a golem to function properly, and of course the golem has a penis. And it is a very, very funny threesome scene with the golem, a protagonist, and it's a kobold monster girl. And the bonus is that it ends up being animated later. The scene actually turns into the scene ends up being animated after, like, you see the same scene multiple times based on your score with the character, and different things happen. And in the third one, the scene actually gets animated, and the golem and the protag are talking to each other while they're doing this. And the golem is sitting there like, what am I supposed to do? You know, she made me. Like, I kind of have to do what she says. It's wonderful.
Kenneth, maybe we should review this one.
Or maybe not.
I'm working on making a review for Fuwa Reviews right now.
All right. That was Ryechu's wonderful description. Who wants to go next?
I can go next if you want to go. Okay. I'm gonna say that the best one I've seen so far would have to be the only H scene, which they had in Sunrider.
Oh,
because,
God.
for the first thing, it works in the context of the plot, It's basically just one scene between the captain and Ava, which is basically a flashback to when they were in school, and it shows the relationship which they had back then. It also explains why Ava and the captain are having a bit of a difficult time getting along in the present time, so to speak. And plus, the scene itself, they just kind of they didn't make it any longer than it needed to be. It wasn't rushed, I would say, but they just kind of show that this is what happens. They are having a nice, beautiful moment together, and they just kind of moved on. It wasn't written in a way that was basically supposed to be fabric material. They basically just show that they are making love together, and now we're gonna move on with the story, basically. So I think that was actually well made. It's one of the few ones which I've seen which was well made. So yeah, do I go? Do I go with? All
right.
Do I go with my worst one, or do you want to go, Kenneth, now?
Go with worst.
Okay.
It gives me more time to think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Warning: spoilers for Cameo, Black Dragon in Gentle Kingdom. If anybody is intending to play that, does anyone of you intend to play it?
I don't even recognize what it is.
I already played it.
It's Cameo.
Oh, Cameo. Just
Yeah,
say Cameo.
no.
Don't say the full freaking name, dude. All right.
Okay, it's freaking Cameo.
Yeah.
Finally get to talk about this game. Okay, I'm just gonna set up the scene for starters. You basically have this one girl, her name is Benio. She's been talking a bit with her friends, and they have been saying quite a bit that they have been, well, sleeping around with their boyfriends, and she is feeling morally pressured that she needs to do it as well. Then they are having this one scene, where the protagonist and Benio is just walking through the night, and Benio asks, what should we do now? And the protagonist jokingly says, let's go over there, and points to a love hotel. And then Benio, she very clearly doesn't really want to do this, but she still decides to go along with it, just going, okay, fine then, I'm just gonna do this. And I was just sitting there thinking, for the love of God, she's not willingly doing this. She's just going along with it because she's feeling morally pressured for it. And that's just one step above actual outright rape. And I just thought, protagonist, you should not be going along with this. You should say it was just a joke. But no, of course they actually go there and they have an age scene. But that's not the worst one. That was just a build-up. Then later, they also have this really big-breasted maid character, which for some reason is in the game. Her name is Haru, and she has no personality other than that she's a pair of melons in a maid uniform. That's her personality. She then basically takes out Benio and one of her friends out to the pub, and they just decide to drink a bit. But then what happens is that Benio gets so drunk that she gets paralyzed. And then the maid girl, she takes her to a love hotel, and then, again, when Benio is paralyzed, she basically has sex with her. Like the maid girl. And she does it with the motivation of, I'm training you so that you can do this better with the protagonist guy. You would like this. And Benio clearly doesn't want to go along with any of this. And I just thought, what the fuck is this?
Why?
And then he went along with that. Yeah, I don't know. And then it just went along with that. And then, of course, they had multiple other age scenes as well between Benio and the protagonist. And most of them were basically that Benio and the protagonist just happened to be alone, and they were just discussing a matter, and then just boom, out of nowhere, another age scene. And so, yeah, all of those, I hated them. They are, like Cameo along with School Days are the only two visual novels I have ever... Those are the only two visual novels that I have ever read which made me legitimately angry. Like, I was angry with the game. So after Benio's route, I just cancelled. I just dropped the VN altogether. And here comes the real kicker. I later went to listen to a review by HyperX Niece, and he then said that later in the game, which thankfully I never saw, they were even worse age scenes than the ones I described right now. So I just thought, what the fuck is with that game? I'm happy that I dropped it. I don't want to see any more of it. Like Cameo, worst age scenes ever. I hate it. Ugh. There you go. That's a long rant. I wanted to say that for a long time, and I finally got it off my chest.
Okay.
Ugh.
So I have a quick question.
Okay.
And both you guys can
Okay.
answer this, actually. Because I just thought about this. VNs with gameplay. VNs with gameplay and H scenes.
VNs with gameplay.
Gameplay
Wait, you mean that
and H scenes. Example.
together?
Yeah, it could either be together. It could be.
Like, do you mean
Like the
gameplay
random
is the H scenes?
Well, you could do that too, I guess. But there's also like the JRPGs with H scenes and things like that. Do you guys even like those?
I haven't really played them, so I can't really say.
I'd say Sunrider is the closest thing I've played to that, and I was
Yeah,
fine
me
with.
too.
I liked the gameplay within Sunrider, though it's had some balance issues later on, and I was fine with the H scene in Sunrider.
Okay.
I didn't think it was as brilliant as Oscar was saying, but
I didn't say it was brilliant. I said it was okay-ish. It was fine.
you said it was the best one you'd seen.
Yeah, I know, and that just sets the bar. I've seen extremely few H scenes that I would say are actually good. It's like Sunrider and Katawa Shoujo. Those are like the only two ones which I would say is okay. And even Katawa Shoujo, especially during what's her name? The girl who's been burned.
Hanako.
Crap, I can't remember. Hanako, yeah. Especially that one made me kind of go, is this entirely okay? I don't really know.
Anyways,
So
Sorry to
yeah.
I
step in.
think to the point also, I have no problems with H scenes being in JRPG-like games, just as long as it fits within the plot and like doesn't hijack the whole rest of the game.
Yeah.
So,
That would make it really rough.
also, I guess Oh,
Bell still
sorry.
hasn't done
Yeah.
his piece yet.
just going to do mine quickly. First, least favorite would be Air with any one of the protagonists, because pretty much the way that all of them behaved was such that regardless of their actual age, even just their maturity level was like 12-year-old at best and probably lower than that. So that just made it feel really uncomfortable. First of all. Second of all, like the story didn't need it at all. It didn't add anything to the story. You know, it's just like, out of all the VNs I've read with 8 scenes, those felt the most tacked on and completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
So, there's that. And for best, I'd probably go with some of Emine's scenes from Grisaya. There's
What?
way too many. Yes. Sorry, Oscar. There's way too many, but like, they fit with Emine's character, first of all, and they were also kind of hot. So, yeah.
Oh, the slut was hot, eh?
Triple dot.
Yeah. Alright, now that we're done with Ken, I'll go on with myself. Well, as I've obviously said, I'm not a very big fan of H scenes, so most of them are my worst. As for like the worst of the worst, I'd probably go with Machina. Machina's H scene from Grisaya. Yeah, that was
Wait.
absolutely horrible. Yeah?
Machina, okay,
Yeah,
I thought you said Akane. Yeah, Machina,
Machina's
okay,
H
sure.
scene from Grisaya. Yeah. Yeah, man, the entire thing was like father-daughter love, and then just suddenly out of nowhere, okay, you're crying, I'm going to come here and screw you so you can feel better. Like, that felt pretty damn wrong to me. No matter, like, how much I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty horrible. And after that, I pretty much just dropped Grisaya. And it is now one of the most visual novels I despise. Yeah. Alright, that's for Grisaya. Okay, as for my favorite, it would probably be... I would probably pick... what was her name? The red-haired girl from Shari no Kuni... Sachi, yeah, Sachi. Yeah, I'd probably pick Sachi's H scene. She was the closest to being good.
Sachi von Shark, really? That one was... I felt that was pretty tacked on. That was kind of pointless.
Yeah, I
thought.
Yeah, I don't want to say all the novel H scenes are pointless, but that was the closest to being okay.
Okay.
Alright, I've said pretty much everything there is. Anyone want to ask anything?
H scenes are H scenes. They are part of visual novels. They've been for a very long time, and they're not gonna go away anytime soon, whether we want to or not.
Sad face.
So just sit back and
press the control
accept.
button.
Sit back and
Click the control button.
whatever you do with yourself when you sit back.
Yes.
Keep calm and keep calm and keep the control button pushed down.
The
Yeah.
internet is for porn.
Oh my god.
The internet is for porn.
Seriously.
Why you
love
think
that.
the net was born?
Oh, for God's
Porn,
sake,
porn,
dude.
porn.
I love that song.
I can't believe you guys actually know that. Or that I
Oscar,
actually
you need
know
to make
that.
that our outro if you're editing
Oh
this.
god. Guys.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm editing this.
Good
yeah.
God.
No. Alright,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so, you guys, I guess, say bye and stuff?
Like
Hour
a
and
little
20
over an hour,
minutes.
something like that.
Alright, that's nice, that's cool. Alright, so that has been that. This has been FuwaFm.
Yep.
And, you guys should, actually say goodbye for once.
Yep. We are gonna wrap this up
Jana.
then.
Yeah,
Yep.
goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.